Automating on sites with a login wall has always been a pain in the neck, until now. With one API call, you create a profile. You just authenticate once and then save that authenticated profile so you can use it with every future request across all our tools. REST APIs, Puppeteer, or Playwright. And you can run that across multiple parallel sessions at the same time. Each one gets its own isolated copy so nothing leaks in between sessions. There are two ways to create a profile. One is through the Browserless UI or programmatically with Puppeteer or Playwright. The manual route is useful when you're scripting your code or want to quickly test it out when you're developing, and you can set it up directly from your account page once you log in. Here, let me show you how that looks like. So first of all, we're going to log into our Browserless account. If you don't have an account already, we have a free tier and no credit card is required to get started. Once we're in the accounts page, let's click on the profile section on the left. You'll see 3 boxes. 2 of them are upcoming methods, but for now we can sign in via a remote browser, which basically uses the live URL feature. So I'm just going to call my profile Amplitude, since I'm going to log into an Amplitude dashboard. Then I'm going to copy paste the URL to the login website for Amplitude. As you can see, there's an advanced section where you can select a proxy for your browser. I won't be needing one here, so I'm just going to click on continue. After that, you'll see a link to the browser that's running in the cloud and you'll be able to interact with that. So to log into my Amplitude account, I'm just going to continue with Google. So I'll input my email here and click on next. I'll type in my password and click on next again. And I have 2-step verification, so I'll need my phone to get this number. Cool, so I clicked on that number on my phone and it should be authenticated. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on Save Profile on the top. Now you can see this list is refreshing and it's showing this new profile that we just created. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to the REST API playground. You'll be able to see all of our endpoints in this list, and for now, I'm just going to use screenshot. I'm going to click on options and make sure that the wait for timeout has 5 seconds, just so it has time for the dashboard to load. Then I'll click on settings and set the profile to Amplitude. So I'll just hit run and we should see an Amplitude dashboard since I'm logged in. Sweet, as you can see, this is the dashboard called Endpoints used by Alejandro, and it's basically a dashboard inside Amplitude that's behind a login wall. The programmatic route is the same flow under the hood, but you can control it through code and create a custom implementation depending on what your use case is. For demonstration purposes, I put together a demo express app that shows how to implement all the neat features of authenticated profiles. The link to the repo is in the description below if you want to check it out. Let's jump into it and see how it works. As you can see, there's a lot of actions you can do with authenticated profiles. Let's start with the basic create a browser. It's a HTTP request with the path called profile, and I'm telling it to create a new profile, and it'll be called Amplitude Profile. Alright, so this browser is ready. I'm going to move on to step number 2, which is authenticate. So what it's doing here programmatically is creating the live URL, basically similar as what we did through the account page. We can interact with the remote browser in this bottom panel. So once again, I'll input my email, click on next, and I'll put my password and click on next. And I'll fetch my phone again since it's asking for 2-step verification. Alright, clicked on that. And as you can see, we're logged in. I injected some HTML and CSS to the site just so the user can see that the login was successful and that this step is over. So I'm moving on to the 3rd step, which is save profile. If I don't save the profile, this whole logging in is in vain. So make sure you save the profile before you use it with another request. And it's saved, so let's move on to reuse profile. So I'm running a REST API and also a Puppeteer session. They can both run in parallel using the same authenticated profile. And the screenshot's ready. If you open it up, you'll see the dashboard. The PDF is doing a little bit more modifications on the site before it returns a PDF. And it's looking pretty good. Alright, so now I'll move on to list profiles. So if you ever want to know how many profiles you have, you can list the profiles like this. At the moment, I only have Amplitude Profile. Moving on to rename profile, you'll be able to rename your profiles in case you want to change their name. If you want to know more about an authenticated profile, you can inspect the profile like this, and it'll give you more metadata on that profile. So I'm moving on to export state. If I run this, it'll return the cookies from that authenticated profile. So I'll move on to upload state, which is similar as creating a browser, but this one's very useful if you're porting it from a different tool because it preserves the origins. Now refresh state is similar to upload, but it's basically to overwrite an existing profile. The only thing that will change is the state and the updated at field. And lastly, we have delete profile, which is self-explanatory. Now that you've seen it in action, let's talk about what actually is happening under the hood. When you save a profile, Browserless is capturing three things: the cookies, local storage, and IndexedDB. Any changes made during a session are discarded by default and never written back to the original profile, unless you save the profile intentionally, which is what makes running parallel sessions possible. That's something that the common userDataDir approach can't do, because Chrome locks that directory to a single browser instance, so parallelism is totally off the table. Authenticated profiles are the cleanest way to handle automations behind a login wall. You capture the full browser state once, store it server-side, and then replay it across all our endpoints with a single flag. You get parallel sessions, no credential management hassle, and as many authenticated profiles as you need across all your requests. One thing to keep in mind is that some sites do flag logins coming from different IP addresses, locations, and devices, so be cautious when testing or developing. And if you found this useful, please consider subscribing since we cover these kind of features every week. This was Alejandro from Browserless. I'll see you on the next one.